Hello, my name is Paul Arnold, sometimes known as the Stuttering Professor. I'm a strategic planner, trainer, facilitator, amongst other things. And I've read loads of books and I've summarised over 50 business books. And what I've noticed is so often there's like one core concept that gets filled out over 300 pages. Well, I want to save you a lot of time. And today I want to take you through the top line on 8 books about behavioural economics, and I've run loads of workshops about this topic, so I really love it. So let's start first with How We Decide by Jonah Lehrer. And decision making is not solely driven by logic or reason, but is a complex interplay between our rational and emotional brain systems. You know, a lot of these books are going to say the same thing because it's all about the fundamental principles of behavioural economics. The famous one that probably kicked it off, Nudge, Improving Decisions About Health, Wealth and Happiness by Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein. You know, people's decisions are often influenced by subtle, often unconscious and sometimes irrelevant factors, and that these nudges can be used to steer people towards better choices without restricting their freedom or making the decision for them. So very sort of, you know, PC based to really say we're only doing good here. Dan Ariely, you know, a really interesting, well-written book, this one. Predictably Irrational, The Hidden Forces That Shape Our Decisions. And Ariely argues that our decisions are shaped by hidden psychological forces and cognitive biases that influence everything from what we buy to how we value things, to how we behave in social situations, and even how we interpret fairness and morality. Lots of great anecdotes in that book. I really enjoyed reading that one. A more advertising, marketing focused one, The Choice Factory, 25 Behavioural Biases That Influence What We Buy by Richard Shotton. Consumer decisions are heavily shaped by predictable psychological biases, and marketers can use these biases to influence behaviour more effectively than through traditional marketing logic. I think that goes a bit too far to say that this completely replaces normal way we do marketing. You know, the grandfather, I would say, of behavioural economics, you can see how well read and thumbed this book is, Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. You know, the same thing, our thinking and decision making is often made between two systems in our brain. He brings in this metaphorical idea, the system 1 and system 2 brains, and system 1, the more emotional, intuitive part of the brain, makes more decisions than our more rational system 2 brain. And the trouble is we can easily be misled by our cognitive biases. Then Paco Underhill's book, Why We Buy, The Science of Shopping. And in this book, he talks about how studying consumer shopping behaviour, you know, Underhill concludes that the retail environment could be better designed around real human behaviour. And he says that when retail, both online and actually sheer bricks, removes friction, respects human tendencies and engages the senses more, customers stay longer and buy more. Great book, great turned into a TED Talk by Barry Schwartz, The Paradox of Choice, Why More is Less. And it's this idea that we live in a world of overchoice, and too much choice paralyzes our decision-making ability and sadly leads to a sense of dissatisfaction. The more options, the more choices, the less happy we are. So the recommendation he makes is limit your options on purpose and don't go for optimization. Go for just, it's good enough, and then you'll be happier. Final book, Martin Lindstrom, you know, book which is called Biology, How Everything We Believe About Why We Buy is Wrong. Again, massively overinflated title, and talks about how neurobiology tells us that we don't buy based on rational thinking. True, we buy based on unconscious, emotional, sensory and neurological triggers. So the key theme in this is slow down when buying, stop being so impetuous in when you buy things. Anyway, I hope that helps.